Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming. Glad to have all of you. Last week we were talking, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, we were talking about the primordial, supreme, mysterious, and the primordial emperor, Lao Tzu. And I made a statement there saying that I call the specific item here an AC magnetic field, the Lao Tzu's Tao. That was an incorrect statement. What I meant to say is that it's an axial rotation electromagnetic field, not an AC. Well, it is, but not entirely correct. It's an axial rotation electromagnetic field. That's a specific type. That's the only one that it fits to, is to an axial rotation electromagnetic field. Now, to start this show this week is about Siddhartha Gautama, Buddha, the enlightened one. Well, tell you a little bit about Buddha. His name was Siddhartha Gautama, at least the former Buddha, or the one that we call Buddha, the Western Buddha. There are different types of Buddha. The one that specifically I'm talking about is the Buddha from Tibet, also known as His Holiness, the Lord of Compassion. Now, to tell you a little bit about the Lord of Compassion, the Buddha, he was born roughly about 2,500 years ago, approximately same time as Lao Tzu, just shortly after, I would say, according to the records and to certain things, facts that we can establish that Lao Tzu must have came before Buddha. Not very much. It could have been almost at the same time within their lifetime. Most likely could have met, not necessarily. But to tell you a little bit about Siddhartha's childhood, he was a very determined young man, or child, teenager, and he knew what he wanted. But a little more about him is that he was the son of a king. So he was a young prince when he was a young boy. But he had some other type of interest. He wasn't really interested in running the kingdom. He wanted to go follow a spiritual path and meditation and basically becoming a monk in short terms. Well, his parents didn't really like it, of course, because he had a kingdom to run, and they expect their son to be a king. Anyway, Buddha did eventually convince his parents to let him go his path. Even though he did go the spiritual path, he ended up being the king anyway, in the long run. So he did both. He not only was in the spiritual, he was a monk, and he was also king of a clan. But now to tell you a little bit about Siddhartha Gautama's work. Now he more or less, I would say from what I can see in records, one of the very first anyway, if not the first, that came up with the symbol of the Dharmachakra wheel. The Dharmachakra wheel is specific. Now, Buddha didn't actually draw the Dharmachakra wheel as specifically as Lao Tzu did, but he did make a depiction of the Dharmachakra wheel. One of the depictions that he did, if you look in the center of his Dharmachakra wheel, you will see that in the middle of it sits the yin and yang. And simplistically, what that would refer to is that Buddha endorsed Lao Tzu's work, meaning he agreed. He even placed his symbol as part of his logo when we look at it today. And I have a picture here that I would like to show, that the logo of the Dalai Lama, which is Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama's emblem. In the center of this emblem, I'm not sure if you can see it from my monitor, But in the middle, you can Google it. In the middle here, you'll see the yin yang, the symbol of two. And furthermore, this here is the Dharmachakra wheel. That the yin and yang is in the middle. That is showing you how Siddhartha Gautama endorsed Lao Tzu's yin and yang, meaning he incorporated it right into the center of the Dharmachakra wheel of all things, which is correct. Because the Dharmachakra is also an electromagnetic field. Now, when Buddha did his work, he made his definition in basically drawing, which I claim to be a very precise drawing that he did. So precise that I consider it to be geometrically correct. But anyway, Lao Tzu did that part where Buddha basically went into further description of the electromagnetic field, which the two of them were both working on. Now, Lao Tzu did it, of course, through his studies, where Buddha now did it, of course, through his spiritual meditation, which is an amazing achievement that he managed to able to see and be able to puzzle this in preciseness. Now, he explained the Dharmachakra in various ways. Now, what I will do is show a Dharmachakra so you have an idea what one looks like, just so that you get an, well, that should be self-explanatory because I showed it earlier. This is the Dharmachakra, basically. Oops, let me see. Okay, never works when you want to. This is a Dharmachakra wheel. I'm not sure if you can see it. The lightning here may not be that great, but let me see. Just give me a moment and I will change my light. Sorry about that, guys. Right with you. Now, you'll be able to maybe see it better. No, it got even worse. Okay, we'll try it again. The Dharmachakra wheel. Okay, now maybe I have to change my camera lens so you guys can see this. It didn't work. Just give me a moment. I'll change my light sequence again. Just bear with me, everyone, and I'll be with you in a second. Well, anyway, like I was saying, this is the Dharmachakra wheel of Siddhartha Gautama. Well, you can Google it if you cannot see it from my monitor. Then you will simply have to Google it. But anyway, you'll see that the yin and yang is in the middle of it, and the Dharmachakra contains 8 sprockets. These 8 sprockets are very important. Those 8 sprockets are related to Buddha's explanation of the Dharmachakra. Basically, Buddha was trying to explain the Dharmachakra in his own way, and give you a little bit more on that. What he did, yeah. In simple words, what Buddha did is he explained the Dharmachakra in words, which now I will try to translate that to everyone. Now, it's very specifically how he wrote it. He wrote it in 2 specific sequences. One of them was that he, excuse me for my nightly time and trying to find the right file so that I know what I'm saying. Okay, now what I meant to say is Buddha did specifically, he had the 4 Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. Now he divided that in 2, and I have to go slow because there's a lot more than Buddha explained, but I will just go with what he said. I will go with first with the 4 Noble Truths. First, the electromagnetic field, the axial rotation field, the way it's designed, it's designed in two ways. It's designed in half radius and full radius. The half radius goes around the pole, and the full radius goes around the equator. Now, when we look at the field, it looks different. It looks different than when it's the half radius and the full radius. Now, the half radius is the eightfold path, as Buddha explained, and the full radius is the Four Noble Truth. Now, to explain the full Noble Truth. The full Noble Truth contains four corners, which cross the equator, and simply the armature of that goes around the equator. The Four Noble Truths contain each a 90 degrees arc in the armature, and each of them Four Noble Truths contain each two full paths within them. So the Four Truths as well contain the eightfold path within it, each containing two fold path within each one of it. So now the Four Truths is not two, each containing 90 degrees going in the armature around the equator. Now the eightfold path is different. The eightfold path is half the radius, therefore it goes around the pole, the eightfold path. Because it's only half radius, it goes only in 45 degrees per each fold, and containing 8 of them in 360 degree armature. So simply, the eightfold path, it consists of 8 45 degree angle in the half radius of the electromagnetic field armature of the exile rotation. Wow, that was a lot of words, but that's what it is. It's a lot of words. Now, to explain again slowly, the Four Noble Truth is the armature which goes around the equator, each truth containing 90 degrees. And furthermore, each truth contains two paths. I believe he called it twofold paths. Sorry, that's Buddhist language. He called them fold. The eightfold is the half radius. Even though the 90 degrees contained twofold path within each, so 4 of them, twofold each, equals eightfold path. Same as the eightfold path that Buddha spoke for. But the eightfold path that Buddha spoke for is entirely a bit different. His description was of the half radius of the electromagnetic field in the armature. That contains eightfold of 45 degree angles to equal to a 360. And that's what Buddha was speaking. And in the electromagnetic field, because the way the helix that I was describing earlier in Lao Tzu's version, then you'd understand how that would work. Basically, what happens is that when the ellipse of the yin and yang, the way it's divided, it's a very specifically division. It's very unique, actually. It's divided. Then you can see how the half radius contains the eightfold path that Buddha was speaking on. Now, the Four Truths, you cannot see the eightfold path as easily unless you have had extremely lot of observation and study on it. But when you do that, you'll find that even they contained Eightfold Path. All of them do. And then there's more, because this is the axial rotation that I spoke of. The axial rotation is slightly different than the tidal lock rotation. Now, the axial rotation in the Eightfold Path, it contains 4 truths and 4 opposing truths. And 4 truths have 2 truths and 2 opposing truths. Where now in the tidal lock is entirely different, where there is only 2 truths, and within the 2 truths, each truth containing 4-fold within them, so equaling to an eightfold path. So now the tidal lock has only 1 truth and 1 opposing truth, where the 4 truths, the 4 noble truths, have 2 truths and 2 opposing truths, and the eightfold path has 4 truths and 4 opposing truths. That's slightly different. Now, the axial rotation contains both the eightfold path and the four truth, where the tidal lock, they do not contain the same. They contain only 2 truths and an eightfold path version, which is slightly different than the axial rotation. So, to explain that Buddha's Dharmachakra, the 8th rocket that he showed, it shows that all, no matter which electromagnetic field, contain 8 fold path within them, even though the truth may vary within them. And the truths are basically referring to the side, or which specific side of the electrofield it is the direction of the propagation. Now, in the 4th truth, the direction of propagation is a 90 degree of the same electromagnetic field, where it changes every 90 degrees. Now, that's for the full radius, but for the half radius, the center portion of the axial rotation contains 8. Or, in better terms, it contains 4 truths and 4 opposing truths. Now, I'm not sure if that explained it very well, but maybe I should show it a little bit more in detail so that you could get a better grasp on what I was just saying. In simplistic, I was saying that the Dharmachakra and the Tao are both an electromagnetic field. Basically, Buddha said it in words, and Lao Tzu drew it a little bit more better than could. Now, in order for Buddha to explain what I just said more, simplistically, Buddha explained a little bit more than Lao Tzu did. So Buddha didn't actually go into Lao Tzu's work. He simply just endorsed it when you look at it in the center of the Dharmachakra. And then he went further by putting those 8 sprockets in there to show something that, of course, the next person or Buddha would eventually see, or the one who is enlightened, as he would have called in those days. See, now in those days, to be enlightened, all you had to do is see the electromagnetic field, which it is enlightened, because that's not an easy thing. Now, I was able to see it because of a lot of my work that I did. That it is much simpler today to see this than it was in those days. You would have to be quite spiritual in those days to be even to be able to have that perception that we have, that today we are able to scientifically easily prove. So a lot of science is involved in my work, so that I had the ability to see what actually Buddha was talking about it, or what Lao Tzu was trying to explain. Now, when Buddha initially came out with these four truths and the Eightfold Path. He also made a three universal law. Now, these three universal law, I've taken a very close look at it. I entirely agree with him. I agree with his three universal law, but I also would say I could add additional one law more to it. And his three universal law goes like this: everything is impermanent and changing, and impermanent leads to suffering, making life imperfect. And number three, the self is not personal and unchanging. Correct. I agree with Buddha. But I also believe that there's one thing that he forgot to mention. He says everything is impermanent. I might slight have a disagreement in that one. One thing that is not changing is the Tao, its very own function, or the Dharmachakra. That always seems to remain. It's the Dharma within the Dharmachakra where the change is, but not the functioning of the Dharmachakra itself. That has always been such, and that will be such. So this will be unchanging. How the electromagnetic field works, it's and that law will never change. That seems to be a permanent factor of within what we see, what we may call existence.